Everyone, and welcome to a new tutorial in Maya. This time it will be the first part in a series which we're going to learn how to model flashlight. Uh, well, I basically decided to create this object because it's pretty much easy, but there are other few little tricks that I will apply to this modeling technique. Yeah, all right. Never mind. Let's begin. First, let's open Maya and make sure you are smoothing the wireframe first. And as always, make sure you opening a new project file for this. So I have a background sound. Okay, so that was Skype. Oh my God, too noisy. Okay, um, so we will start by creating a new cylinder, and as always, who familiar with my tutorials, um, usually when I start creating something, I'm using those shapes over here at the polygon tab, and basically it wouldn't appear, none of those objects will appear in your work area if you want uncheck something here. So go over, okay, create polygons primitive, okay, and make sure the interactive creation is unchecked just by pressing it, okay. So if I'm pressing it right now, there will be a V sign like here, okay. So that way you know that it's unchecked, and that way if I will just click one of the shape over here, the shape that I will choose will appear in this work area. So we created a cylinder and press 5 to give it a solid color. Next thing, try to scale it, okay, like so, and maybe stretch it like so. Also, from the attribute editor, which is this button over here, go over the poly cylinder one and add more subdivision axes to it. Also, you can maybe add some more subdivision height. And next thing is to remove the cap. Okay, there is subdivision caps which are here. So this is how it's with them, and this is how it's without them. Now, the next thing is to create the tunnel, some kind of tunnel that the batteries are inserted in it. Okay, so we are choosing this face and extrude it, and I had a little problem in an earlier model I built. I used the extrude so in a different way, so I will undo that and undo the extrude. I will go over the polygons and mesh and edit mesh and the extrude tool. Okay, so I had 100 divisions, so it's too much, and if you want to reset it by default, you can click on edit, reset default, and then click on extrude. That will extrude this face. Now tap on one of those cubes, catch the middle one, drag it, and then extrude again and bring it inside the pipe. Okay, so we are creating something like pipe for the batteries to have a place. We ain't gonna model the batteries, but just for maybe in the future you would like to have batteries inside, so you better create it. Okay, so next thing we are going to deal with this face. Okay, so choose this face and we are going to extrude it. So first of all, pull it like this, and then switch to your scale tool and catch the middle cube and stretch it like so. Okay, so it doesn't have to be that wide. Okay, make it something like this, and then extrude this face and do something that looks something like this, and then we are going to extrude it again, and then we are going to extrude it inside like so. Okay, and then we are going to do this in the opposite direction. Okay, so we are first we will create something like a frame here, so we are extruding it again and we are entering inside. When I mean inside is like, you will see. Okay, I will extrude it again, and alright, so now you can see what I did. Okay, if I will switch to X-ray, so you will understand. Okay, yeah. And with using the X-ray, you can know how much you can go deep with this face inside, and this is the line, so we will rely on that line, and then we will extrude again. And now if I will switch the X-ray, you can see that I totally lost myself here. Well, that's not a problem. True. We are going to just scale it inside using the middle cube, and that way we almost done with it. Okay, so shading X-ray, and now the other thing is to create something that will be here. Okay, we'll cover this you know, like the house of this lamp that's supposed to be here. So let's create another polygon cylinder, and it's hiding inside our flashlight, so we will bring it up so we can see it, and then we will scale it like so. Okay, make sure you are looking here when you stretch it. Okay, like so, so you can see that when you are touching the frame of this flashlight, and then you can scale it to be that thick. Okay, and just check something. Okay, so I will add more subdivision axes from the attribute editor for this, and remove the cap also. Okay, so that way we have a nice kind of glass or plastic, transferred plastic for the flashlight. Also, turn off the X-ray and maybe make it a bit bigger. Okay, because you don't need to worry the frame of this flashlight head is covering here and everything, but we want to create something that look pretty much realistic, so this is why. Now let's create the cover from this side. Okay, so we are going to create another polygon cylinder, and then we will bring it down here, and as with all the other cylinders, edit more subdivision axes, and then you can bring it, scale it like so. So make sure it's almost at the same size as this pipe of the, like this flashlight handle, whatever. Okay, so make it like so, and this time you can add some more subdivision caps. Okay, and we are going to use it to give it a big better look. So I'm choosing first choose one face from this line, and shift double click on the face next to her. Okay, so it will choose the whole line. Okay, and also make sure you choose one here, but just for a moment remove by control select this face, okay, and then you see I'm shift selecting double clicking this face, okay, so that way it will also select this. Now then you can select this again by clicking, by holding down the shift, but let me first tell you something. Usually when you want to choose something and like this, okay, so you can choose them all as I told you, but if I wouldn't remove this face now before I double click this one, so okay, so that right now it didn't done it, but most of the time it will also pick all those, okay, all the line like here, so that's why I did it. And also if you would like to unselect something, you just need to hold down the control and select the thing that you don't want to be selected, okay, so therefore I'm holding down the control and I'm selecting those, and then it's removing them. You can also use the shift, but it's better to use the control, that way you know that you are removing them. Also there is another thing. If you would like to choose something instead of just this, you can always select shift select, okay, whatever you would like. But if you want to select like together with your selection, like I'm going to cover all this area, but I'm clicking right now, I'm holding the control and the shift together, so that way it won't unselect the others, because the shift is supposed to also the shift has also the ability to unselect something. So when you hold down the control and the shift together, it's selecting together with your selection. Okay, so it's very useful when you want to select something in the same area. Okay, so that way it's selecting all the things that are inside the mark. Okay, and it's keeping the selecting item as selected. Okay. I hope that wasn't that difficult to understand. Now let's keep on, and we are going to bring this up a little bit, and then we will select this line and we are going to make it higher like so. And the next thing is to go over here, down here, and right click on this and choose one of the edges. Okay, doesn't matter which one. Select this edge and hold down the control, right click on it, and you can see that there is edge to ring here, edge to ring utilities. Okay, so drag your mouse while the right button is clicked and to edge ring and split. Okay, so that way it will give you a nice cut of this shape, okay, of this edge all along the way. Now we are going to choose this face, shift double click this face, and we are going to extrude it down. So that way we have some merging point like look-alike for this cover. Okay, that way. So that's nice. Alright, so now we are going to the fun part of this tutorial, and it's actually to create the all more detail. We are going to put more detailing for this flashlight, so I hope you have patience for it. First of all, we are going to create a sphere. Okay, so this sphere is here, and we are revealing it by moving it from inside the pipe of this flashlight. Now right click on it, choose face, and make sure your view is straight in front of this sphere, so you will select just half cut of this sphere, okay, and then delete it. Okay, just press delete when you're sure that you selected only half of it. And the next thing is to tap on F8 to bring it to object mode and squish it with your scale tool. That way we are creating something that looks like a button. Okay, this will be a pressing button in order to like you know, turning the flashlight on and off. Okay, so I made a mistake. I need another line here, so I will undo two of my. Okay, so choose only those faces. Okay, I need to choose faces, so choose those and delete them. Now I will choose this face and this face. No, you know what? Like before, squish it and then choose only the line here. So sorry, one face, shift, double click on this face and click on the extrude, pull it outside like so, okay, and then click extrude and pull it a bit more, okay, and then choose this face from the upper side and this one, and then bring it a bit outside. Okay, so that way we created something that looks like a button, and now we can maybe scale it a bit up, just up, so it will be more obvious that it looks like a button. Now is the fun part. We are going to be introduced to a new tool. So first of all, turn this button that way. Okay, so if you want to make sure it's 90 degrees, go over your channel box and make sure that this axis you just rotate. It's, for me it's rotate X, so I will just type in -90 degrees and I will bring it here to this flashlight. And we have only one real problem with this. First of all, make a copy of this. So Control D to make a copy. Okay, don't copy it. Alright, so copy it. No, don't copy it. No, we don't need to copy it. First of all, catch this button, make sure it's closed as much as you can, and even make sure it's touching the flashlight body, but you can see what's the problem here. We need to like stretch those areas, the sides area of this button, in order to make sure it's touching the flashlight. So we are going to be introduced right now to a new tool. Maybe some of you know this tool, but either way, let's see. First, switching to animation tab, okay, here, and go over create deformers, okay, and then you will get this lattice over here. So there is this little box here, click on it, and by default, if I will reset, you will get 2 division on 5 and 2. So this is X, Y, and Z. So 2 for the X, 5 for the Y, and 2 for the Z. The Z is the path, but we don't need 2, we need a bit more. So make sure you heading like 2 more for the X and the Z, and basically choose to create. Okay, now when you choose to create, it's creating something around our button, okay, because we selected the button, and then choose to create this lattice. And actually what's this nice thing around this button is it's like a new controller for this button that will make him more flexible. Now it will make this button very flexible, so I will show you how to do this. Right click on this lattice and choose lattice point, and then we will choose this section of vertices, the points, lattice points, okay, it's vertices actually, and shift select those. Now if we will use the scale, okay, we will switch to the scale tool and do something crazy like this. You can see what it's doing. It's like squishing our button, but it's more like a flexible item become to be, okay. So this is what really it's all about. So now when I chose those areas, I will choose also those areas and those lattice points, okay. And basically I will choose everything except the middle one, okay. So that way, if I will choose my move tool and pull them inside, that way I can control on how to bring this button to be like covering in much more smoother way in the same shape of the handle for this flashlight. So at first we were closing a bit, we are getting close into our body of this flashlight, and then we will choose those vertices only, okay, those and those, because those are really the parts that we should fix in the problem though. So I'm moving them there, and still it doesn't pretty much good, so I will choose all of those and all of those, and then I will bring them in. So that way you can see we get something that looks much more better than playing with the vertices of the button itself, okay. And when we think we're done with this, which I think we did, so let's unselect that by clicking the background and maybe tap the F8 key, and as you see it brought back to object mode, but the truth is it's supposed to stay here. But what if we don't want to leave it, the lattice here? So you can choose the object inside, and you can copy it, okay, Control D and copy it and move it a bit outside, and then I will show you why we copy it instead of just deleting the lattice. Now if I will choose the lattice itself and choose to delete it, the shape will brought back to its original shape, okay. It wouldn't be like this one right now, okay. So this is why we done this. Now I want the lattice back, and the truth is I need to create two copies right now. So no, sorry, I will choose again, no, oh, Control D, okay, to copy it, and then I will delete the lattice and the button itself, and we'll bring back the button over here. Alright, so now we are going to take all this flashlight together with the button, and first of all, you know what, no, first of all, leave the button itself where it is, and choose only the flashlight parts together with everything except the buttons, and move it a little bit outside, okay, from the grid itself. and then create a copy, Control D, this, and move the copy down here. Now, when it's down here, we are going to make sure that the blue arrow of our move tool is somewhere like at the same level as the grid. Okay, the grid is cutting the arrow to the half point, so that's okay. Now we want to adjust the pivot for this button. So how we can do this? We can press Insert button on your keyboard for Windows users and Home for Mac users. So if you will tap on the Insert or the Home, you will get something that looks like this, just without the arrows. Okay, so you can use your mouse in order to bring it to the center of our axis, okay, in the grid. So I will move my camera view a bit to see that if it's really on the center, okay. And you see the green one is quite okay, but I don't really know how to make sure. I'm trying my best to bring the camera so it will be placed straight. Okay, so I think that's okay. Now I will click on the Home button again in order to get my arrows back. So this is how you adjust the pivot for this object. You can do this for any object. And what we are going to do with it right now. Okay, so from earlier test, I decided that I will need to copy this button 6 times, okay, around my flashlight handle. Okay, so how does it happen? We are going to go over Edit, Duplicate Special, and click this little box over here, and then you will get this box. Okay, so now I will reset it. Okay, and if we will want to make 6 copies of this in a 360 degrees circle, okay, so we will need to divide the 360 degrees into 6 pieces. Okay, that means that we will have 16 degrees in between each of those pieces. So we can calculate this, okay, calculator, and just take 360 and divide it by 6. It will give you the result of 1660. Okay, so now we are going to input those parameters into this box. So we want 6 copies, 6 pieces, so it stands for copies, and we want the distance in between each one of them to be 60 degrees. So you are supposed to write 60 degrees on the Y box. Okay, so for the translate, this is X, Y, and Z, and also for the rotate X, Y, and Z. And you can remember this by looking at your upper frame of Maya. You can see there are 3 boxes over here, X, Y, and Z. Okay, so this is how you will remember this. And after you're done, so make sure you just click on Duplicate Special, and it will create 6 pieces of this button. Okay, now there is another hiding piece here, so you can choose it and move it aside just to look at it, and okay, you can delete it. Now what would you like to do from here is actually move those two buttons aside and bring the flashlight back here, okay? And that way you should use your top view, okay? So we are going to change to 4 view, which is this icon, or just by tapping the spacebar and go switch to top view, put your mouse cursor over this window and tap on the spacebar, and then you can see when the arrows, like the red arrow is touching, is above, is like covering this black line, okay? And if the yellow is covering this, well, it's turning to blue, but whatever. So you can see it's in the middle. It's pretty much in the middle. So you can zoom in order to check this and maybe fixing. Okay, so now it's almost there, but that's enough. Tap on the spacebar and switch to the perspective view by putting your mouse cursor over here and tapping the spacebar again. Sorry for the loud pressing. And now we are going to choose by shift selecting each one of those pieces here, okay? And we are going to switch to here to polygons, mesh, combine them, okay? All the pieces are together combined, and make sure you go over modify and center the pivot for them, okay? So that way now we can bring those buttons here, and if we will duplicate them, we will bring them up, and we will use the rotate tool in order to bring them the next line of those buttons inside, in between those, okay? So try to do a clean work here. Alright, now alright, so now we are going to choose only those two circles. If you would like to unselect the flashlight, hold down the control and choose it, and then we are going to duplicate this and bring it up, okay, and again and again. Alright, so now we have a nice handle for this flashlight, and if you would like, suggest maybe adjust those things. Don't trust on them, just adjust them. Catch the flashlight itself, the flashlight head, right click on it, and choose all the vertices from the upper side of it and stretch them a bit like so. Okay, so that way it will be look better. And now we are going to we need to make one of those buttons to look pretty much different from the other ones. So I'm thinking of it, but let's say we will stop here, and we'll call it the part 1 for this tutorial, and we will continue at the other one. Then I also decide how to create the button, okay? Okay, so I hope that this was easy for you. I think this flashlight looks very good. Okay, so okay, so that's it. We'll see you soon at the next tutorial, where we will continue this. Okay, so have a nice day. I will save it so that way I won't lose it. Okay, so flashlight, and okay, so hello everyone, and welcome back to the second part of how to model a flashlight. So let's back to our scene, and as I told you, we are going to somehow create some room for our button, but I was thinking on how to do this, so I decided to go with this step. So first of all, we are going to move our main objects for the flashlight back to the side, and we are going to deal with those parts. So as for a start, because those two buttons are in some way are pointing to the second line of those chains, okay, or whatever, I'm going to choose this one, and then I want to face my camera in this position, and then I will right click on them and choose faces, okay, and then I want to choose only this button to get rid of, okay, so that way I will make some room for the button itself, okay. So I will try to pick only the faces that are belong to this shape, okay. Let's take a look closer on this, and okay, now we can press on delete on our keyboard and get rid of it. Now the next part will be to in some way combine all those pieces together into one unit, but I don't want this all kind of like a rubber holder to be with spaces in between them, like here, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose another approach. We are going to create polygon pipe, and we will bring it up just so we can see it better. And then from the attribute editor, if we will choose this tab over here, we can actually choose how much thickness we are going to give it. So right now the thickness, okay, of this poly pipe is 0.5, and I want to change it to something like 0.1, okay, and now I'm going to scale it so it until it will touch in some way on our on those pieces here, okay. So as you can see, it's almost there, and I will add more cell division axes to it so it will be smoother. And then what we are going to do is we are going to bring it back to the 0 point here and stretch it from here up, okay, so that way it will cover the whole space of those rubber or something like this. Okay, so let's make sure it's touching all of them and that most of the pieces are actually in some way are inside this shape, okay, that way, but make sure from the inside that you don't see any one of them peeking out, okay. So this is the result, this is how it should look. And now also make sure that the gaps over here and down there are looking something like this. And right now from here we're going to add some subdivision height to this poly pipe, okay, so that way it will cover everything. You see, it's like grid lines here. Alright, so now we are going to choose everything except this poly pipe. So select everything and just hold down the control and select the poly pipe to unselect it. And after that we are going to over mesh. If you are not seeing mesh here, just make sure you are at polygons and mesh and combine them, okay. Now that way all those pieces are actually one part, okay. Now what I'm going to do right now, it's experimental in some way because not always it's succeeding on happening. So we will try to do something. First, choose this polypipe and then shift select one of them, so that way it will choose all of them, and go over mesh, booleans, and union them. Alright, now as you can see, that makes them disappear because there is too much information right now to calculate, and Maya probably got crazy or something. So we are going to undo that, and that way we will get the shapes back to how it was. Now I will stretch it a little bit more, and also I'm going to scale it just a little bit that way, but make sure that doesn't peaking like here. Okay, you see the grid is overlapping our buttons, those buttons. So I will try maybe do something like this, and then maybe scale it down a bit, and we are going to try this again. So first go over edit, delete by type, history, and let's try this again. Okay, mesh, select the polypipe, then shift select the buttons, and mesh, booleans, and union. Now probably will be the same result while we're waiting for Maya to calculate this. I truly hope that it will fix. Alright, so it did fix because we give a little bit more touch to this surface, between those surfaces. So sometimes Maya is very sensitive for actions like this, and it's happening a lot. Even in other tutorial we talked about that. You have to be very patient when you do actions complicated like this, okay? Because Maya should calculate all this thing, and it could take some time. Now, before we continue, I want you to add two more subdivision edge loops, okay? So shift, hold down the shift and right click on this object and choose insert edge loop from here. Just drag your mouse while it's still you're still holding the right button and release. Then add one more here. Okay, so I made mistake and okay, as you can see, it took a little bit time, and I can tell you, I can feel when Maya is choked, and I will try to save this, okay, before I will continue, because when Maya starts to choke, this is a bad sign that she's going to crash. So flashlight 2, okay, and save as. Okay, so also there is too much poly count in this object. Therefore, it's starting to be a little bit much more complicated for Maya. So I'm going to undo that because I thought that Maya will create full lap on this, but she didn't. So I will try to undo that. Okay, as you can see, also she's choking a bit. So from here, don't do anything, just tap on F8 to bring it back to object mode, and let's tap on the 3 number above our letters, okay? She is hacking the selected mesh polysurface shape 10 contains a large number of faces and may take a while to smooth or run out of memory. Do you want to continue with the smooth mesh preview? So yeah, yes, I want. So she already alerted us that it can take some time, and she already done so. Okay, she probably doesn't know how much gigs of RAM I have, so she thought to alert me before she's doing this action. Now, what we actually did, we created like something like cloth to this rubber cloth to this flashlight, and that way it will look much better, and we can uh, bring back the flashlight inside. Okay, now suppose you didn't you don't know that after we smoothen it by pressing the 3, it became a little bit more thicker. So um, because of that, we are going to apply a little bit more scale for it, and maybe we'll scale this like so, and that way our flashlight will look pretty much uh, better. Okay, so the next thing is actually to create the button, and we already own a button, but if we would like to do something that uh, that will give it a unique look than the other buttons here, so we will probably would like to do a change for it. So we can use those faces over here and maybe extrude them a little bit more out like so, and that way we have something that looks a little bit different from the others. Okay, and F8 again, and maybe also we are going to move it a little bit to the sides, and then I would like to try something. Okay, so I'll try to not smooth this right now. I will press number 1 above the letters to bring it back to not non-smooth. Okay, and then I will create a new poly cylinder and bring it here outside, and then I will rotate it in 90 degrees. Okay, so 90 degrees, and add some more subdivisions to it, and now we are going to create a hole inside this rubber thing. So first of all, adjust the cylinder like so in between them, those buttons, and now we are going to choose this and then shift select this one, and then go over booleans and difference. Okay, so again it probably will disappear, so we have to wait and see. I hope not. Let's pray for it. Please don't disappear. Okay, well. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Maya have some problems, and she's already crashed. When you see this message, it's like you are doomed if you didn't save this. So thank God I saved my last steps, so I will undo that. Just close it. I am gonna send report. I know what Maya is talking about. I will relaunch Maya, and then we will continue in different way. Sorry about that. Already alert you. So yeah, after 3 years that you are dealing with Maya, you have some kind of sense for it. So let's open the scene, and flashlight number 2. I'm going to save a blank project. As you can see, it's also taking a little bit more time. Maybe this time what I'm going to do, I probably would like to approach it in a different way. So let's say we are going to cut some of the faces from here. Okay, so let's choose some of the faces we have. Okay, make sure it doesn't touch any other faces, like cutting them in halfway or something. You see, I don't want to touch this because it's already touching the buttons here. So um, I'm going to delete those faces, and just by selecting them and pressing the delete. Okay, so it's done. Now we are going to select the other uh, parts. Okay, there's a thickness to this rubber, so therefore we have to do this also for the other side. Okay, and from here, yeah, that's okay. Okay, so I was leaving those also. Okay, so that way it looks better. Make sure you didn't select anything else behind, and probably deleted anything you should still have in the scene. So I'm going to select uh, those edges. Okay, you can do this by selecting one edge, shift select, and double click the edge next to it, and it will select all the others. And now we are going to extrude this back inside, so that way we are like patching this hole we created here. Okay, so the extrude tool is also choking. Now when I see these happening, I'm just getting to think that Maya is telling me, look man, don't do this or something. It's pretty funny. Okay, Maya's doing her best, I guess. Now see, I didn't bring it all the way to the other side because I need some space in order to obtain the vertices now. So I'm going over polygons, and then I will choose from the edit mesh, merge vertex tool. Okay, merge vertex tool. And now I will patch those areas, those vertices together. So it's taking too much. So you need to be careful with this tool because you can accidentally choose other vertices in the background. Just to make sure, zoom in as much as you can and click and hold down your mouse button, and then choose the direction in order to choose your next vertices point now, and then release. Now as you can see, I'm starting with those vertices, okay, because this area here is supposed to stay at the same place. So this is why I'm starting with those, because those are the ones that should get closer, okay? And because it's going to take much more time, I'm going to pause this and finish it, and then I will resume my screen recorder, okay? So sorry about it. Alright, so I finished patching this. Took me about 5 minutes, I guess. And also, if it's happening to you, I can give you one more advice. Try to make it a little bit smaller in the size, okay? And maybe when you add those axes to the height, use a little bit less than I did. I used like 50 for those, and also for the smoothness of the cylinder itself. So that way, when we union all these parts together, it becomes much more complicated object. And obviously, it's not the best way to do so, but I guess it's working, so why not keep with it, keep on with it. So after we patch this, we are going to apply the smoothness by tapping the 3 key, no, key number 3 on above our letters in the keyboard. So now we are going to see what will happen to this area. Okay, so first of all, just switch to object mode by tapping the F8 and then press 3. Now, again, I should warn you that whenever you're patching this and you see that it's still choking or something, make sure you're saving each step. Each time you're patching 2 vertices, go over File and don't be lazy, just save it. That way you will know that you are saving your you are going to save 2 things: your time and also the things that you do. Okay, so let's press 3, and again we get this warning where I chose yes, and now should go back to object mode and maybe apply the 3 again, trying to understand something which is not right now. Okay, so after I apply the smoothness, you can see how beautiful it looks, right? Looks pretty much pretty. I'm in love. Yeah. Okay, so now after I unselected and selected it back, you can see that we get rid of those geometry lines we had, and now maybe we can do something with this. Probably give it more roundness. So I'm going to choose those 2 vertices over here and those at the other side. Okay, and maybe use the scale tool to bring them closer that way, and then I will also do this to this area. Probably it will be the right thing to do. Yeah, over here, catching those 2, maybe those 2. Oh no, let's undo this and unselect this. Okay, let's select those 2. Also, I don't know how much it will look similar in your model. I hope that as long as you followed my steps, it will look alike, but you can see I'm trying to do really aggressive movements here, so maybe I will bring those 2 back to where they were. I'm using the scale tool in order to bring them inside, and usually when I want to do this symmetrical way, I will choose the yellow cube, the middle cube. Okay, so that way they will be symmetrical, but I did something wrong right now. I used the middle one instead using only the sides one, so that way they won't get thicker. Okay, so that way looks better, and you can see that here I took out 4 faces. Okay, and up there it's 3. So therefore, I probably want to go with some, give it some unique design, kind of look. So choose those 4 and choose your move tool in order to bring them inside. So that way we created something that looks better. Okay, so let's tap on F8 to bring it to object mode, and let's bring back our flashlight into this rubber kind of thing. Okay. Alright, now it's almost there. And yeah, also one more thing, it's we made some changes, so we probably want to scale it back a little bit. And Maya is choking again, and I probably made very aggressive move. Yeah, so let's do really little steps here, and also we can make it. We can take the flashlight because it doesn't seem that it's at the right place. Really, it's not really centered. So let's try to bring it to the center. Yeah, that way it's perfect. Now to our button, which we already changed it, but you remember that Maya crashed, and in some way uh, we had to open our last saving, so um, we didn't save the thing that we apply to this button, but um, because we ain't going to apply smoothness with tapping the 3 button, so I will probably keep that way, the button, and maybe make it a little bit smaller, and I will position it where it should be, here, okay? And that way, that's okay. We ain't got to do much more than this. And let's do something else right now. Now, in most flashlights, we have something like security wire here, so we can, so the flashlight won't fall on the floor or something, fall on the floor. So let's create a cube, and as always, the cube is hiding inside, so we will use the move tool to bring it outside, and from here choose one of the faces. Yeah, choose the bottom face, okay, and extrude it a little bit like this, but you can see the extrudeness is too much. I'm using 100 divisions to this extrude because we already used the extrude in very not proper way, so I will undo that and again undo this, and I will go over the extrude and edit mesh to this little box over here and reduce the division to 1. Okay, 1 is the lowest number, and then I will extrude, and that way it's okay. Now I want you to write, okay, sorry, let's pick only the cube, and let's pick this edge here and this edge over here, okay, so those 2 edges facing to each other, and we can go over edit mesh, bevel, and from the attribute editor for this bevel operation, you can see poly bevel history and poly bevel 1, where it says segments. Add some more segments so it will look a little bit round, okay, in the corners. And now we are going to create another cylinder, and choose your move tool to bring it outside like so, and you can rotate it in 90 degrees, okay, so 90 degrees. Also, we are going to add, as always, more subdivision axes, and I want to make it smaller, so use the scale tool in order to make it smaller, and also I want to stretch it to the sides like so, and then I will position it here and here, okay, somewhere in the middle, and make sure it's close to those corners, okay, but make sure it's centered also, yeah, like so. And now we are going to choose our cube, and then shift select this cylinder, go over mesh, booleans, and difference. Alright, so now we have something to attach to our security wire or something. So let's make it thinner, okay, and also choose those two vertices and them a little bit down. Sorry, it's 4, okay, and go back to object mode. Make sure you are centering the pivot from the modify tab, so that way now we can bring it to this cover of our batteries slots. Okay, slot. Okay, so that's pretty much how it should look. And as you can see, I brought it very inside, so you can use the X-ray in order to see how much inside you are, and then go in with your camera and right click on this object. If you don't see those vertices appears, that means you didn't get much closer with the camera, and then you have control on those vertices and go outside, so that way you can see where it touches. Okay, so here it's touching, and that's fine. Alright, so tap once or twice on the F8, and that way we have this this little thing here. Okay, what else? So I think that this is it for this second part. I don't know how many more parts we are going to add to this, but it's definitely look great, and we will continue at the next part. Okay, so for now, have a nice day. Hope you enjoy this, and I know it was a little bit complicated when we touched this object when we created it, but there are much more complicated things than that object, so get used to it, or else you won't have any other beautiful things like this one. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. Hope to see you soon. So welcome back to the third part of this tutorial, and this time we are going to do some more modification to this flashlight. So first of all, I want to add something to this top head of the flashlight. So like this part is screwing in and out. So first of all, I will hold down the shift and right click on it, on the main object of this flashlight, and I'm going to add a few more edge loops around it. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. And right now, from here, we are going to do something like this. Okay, I had just 5 lines loops, and then I'm going to choose the arrow back so Maya won't confuse with the edge loop tool, and then I'm going to select those 2 lines, and now very easily use your rotate tool in order to give it a little bit twist. Now it really depends on your pivot. If your pivot is not centered correctly, so you probably twisted in kind of wrong way. Okay, so now that's fine. We can maybe twist it a bit more. Make sure you're looking at all around, because you can already see how it stretches over here, and we don't need this. So I will try to bring it back and just give it a little twist, not that much. So the lines will stay straight as much as possible. Now then, we are going to back to the arrow and shift like those, okay? And now we are going to rotate this one to the other direction, okay? So like this. And that's even too much, so maybe just a little twist. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. It wasn't supposed to react like this, but let me see. Maybe just a little bit. Okay. Now the next thing is to actually catch all of them together. One, and I'm unselecting this so I can select this one, and then I'm unselecting this and double click this one. Every time I'm removing one of those pieces in order to not choose the all way up and down for those lines. So okay, so now the next thing is to go over edit mesh and make sure that keep faces together is not ticked. Usually there is a V sign here, so if it's not there, so you are okay. If it is, just press on it again so it will disappear. Now we are going to extrude those faces out a little bit. Okay, and we are going to tap on one of those cubes and then catch the middle one and bring it inside like so. Okay, so that way we have some kind of look of like this is a part that can be separated from this flashlight. Okay, so now let's maybe bring it inside a little bit more, just so we can see it better, and tap on the F8 to bring it back to object mode. So this is what it's all about, to add some more little detailing, so the flashlight will get as much as realistic look. Okay, now the other thing was to add some security wire over here, you know. So in order to do this, we are going to take all the model a little bit to the side. Okay, so Maya is still choking here when I'm doing things like this, so okay. Now okay, so we are going to create a curve. Okay, now we are going to use this tab course and use this circle curve. So if you will click on it, you add some message, drag on the grid. So make sure your plus sign in the mouse cursor is point to this, and drag, click and drag, and then release. So you will have this curve. Now if I'm going to right click on it and choose control vertices, you can see that there are few vertices here. Okay, so this is very good for us because we are going to need them in order to manipulate something, and we are going to attach a polygon cylinder to this curve, and then after we will attach it to it, we could modify the look of it. Okay, so that way our security wire will be look much more better. Okay, so first of all, let's tap on F8 to bring it back to object mode, the curve itself, yeah. choose polygons, uh, create a new polygon cylinder, and go over the attributes editor for it and remove the cap. Okay, and also make sure you are not adding too much subdivision axes. Just make sure it's look a little bit like so, because we are going to do some patching options of functions after this, so it's better to have a less vertices after that, so we can patching it easier. So I'm rotating it, and I'm going to bring it over here like so. Then I will rotate it in this direction, also in 90 degrees. So okay, now we want to make sure that the cylinder is that the curve of this which we created earlier will be in the center of our cylinder. Okay, that way. Now try to make sure it's almost there, and then you can make it very tiny. It doesn't have to be that big, and also make sure it's centered. Alright, now maybe a little bit more tiny. I'm going to look also on my flashlight to see how much it should be. So I think that that's enough. Now after doing so, right click on the poly cylinder and choose this face. After that, we should shift select the curve itself. Okay, so now you see that they are both highlighted, and go over edit mesh and go to the extrude little box over here and add 100 subdivision. So now click on the extrude and you will get something like this. Alright, so we do have a problem because I think that in some way Maya trying to tell me that here is where the end point or the start point, and you like decided to bring this polygon cylinder over here. So each curve has a start point and end point. Now therefore, when we created this polygon over here, we placed it here, so Maya is stretching the first extrude line over there. So let's undo that and undo select and undo again, and maybe we'll try listen to Maya and do things in proper way. Okay, so I will rotate it back to here. Okay, that way. So now I know it's like 0 supposed to be, and I will try to bring it over here. Alright, and same procedure, you're placing it in the center, and right click, choose the face, shift, select the curve itself, and let's try again. So this time we already set the extrude setting, so just click on the extrude, and here you go. See, this is how easy it was. But we still have minor issue about this spring. Okay, as you can see, it's overlapping in here, in this area, because our cylinder is still here, and in some way he's overlapping the end point. So what we should do is right click, choose faces, pick only the cylinder faces here and delete them. Okay, so after that we can also delete this. Just try to clean here this area, also remove this face here, and the next thing will be to first choose those edges over here, and you can extrude them in this direction. Okay, but make sure you leave some space in between. And I made some mistake here. Uh, seems that there is other faces that are doing some trouble here, so I will try to remove them also. Okay, so that way it's better. And I think also that I made one thing wrong. I should uh, bring most of the time the keep faces together to be applied. So now, uh, when I will extrude this edges, uh, they will go like one way, okay, like one piece. Now, it looks kind of strange because it has a little bit twisted, and now trying to bring it as much as close to this other point. Now, when you here go over edit mesh, merge vertex tool, and start attach those points together. Okay, always make sure you are focusing at the right vertices, so that way you won't confuse or something. Yeah, that way it's already looks better. Okay, don't worry about it, just make sure you are attaching the first vertices of the same line we stretched. Okay, so this is why I asked you to make less subdivisions to the cylinder itself, so you won't have any hard work when you are doing this. Could get you pissed off when you do something more complicated than this. So here we go. This is how it should look, and we have a complete line here. Okay, circle. Now, if you want to make things smoother, you can tap on the 3. But first of all, make sure you're adding one more subdivision here, and that's fine. Now to the fun part of this. You can tap on 3, right, in order to make it smoother. So that way we're fixing the issue of smoothing it by adding more subdivisions. But next thing will be to catch only the curve that you created. Okay, so if we are going to choose the curve, and therefore we should look at the X-ray first. Okay, so as you can see, the curve is already selected, it's highlighted in white, so unselect this thing itself and make sure you are in the curve. Okay, or maybe you know what, you don't have to move, you don't have to do nothing right now, just move it outside. Okay, no, some way it's attached. So, and we have a little bit of a problem here. It seems that this area is not really in the same direction as most of those, so I will rotate this and this one also. Okay, and let's bring it back to the curve. Now you can see I'm trying to get inside the curve in order just to right click on it and choose control vertices. So now that way I can choose, I can turn off the X-ray and still get to see those little pink things here. These are the vertices for the curve. Now if you will take one of them like so and you will squish it over here, you can see that our security wire is manipulating at the same time when we manipulate the curve itself. So this is what it's all about. It's we are like creating a skeleton kind of thing to this wire, so that way we can make it look much more realistic then okay, maybe even stretch it like so, and then tap on the F8. Now the next thing you should do is to copy this, okay? And as I told you earlier with the lattice, if you will want to get rid of the curve itself or the lattice, you should copy the thing, and then you will this object, the object won't be relayed in the existence of this curve. So now we can probably we have another curve already, okay, but we can check this. Let's get closer. Well, I don't see any curve inside, so that's fine. Let's turn off the X-ray. Now we can simply just rotate this wire and bring it to his place. Okay, and yeah, you should get closer to your object. So I need to rotate it like so, and maybe bring it like so, and also a bit, just a bit, not that much, doesn't have to be. Alright, so that was the main goal in this one, okay? And if you really like, you can maybe make it smaller and bring it back up to its place. It's not a leash for a dog, it's only a security kind of wire, okay? So that's it, and this is it for this tutorial. And while I'm thinking about it, we are probably going to texturize and apply some light setup to this flashlight after this. We could also model the lamp itself inside the this flashlight, but we are going to use just some area light shape to it, so we will get a light, and that's it. So hope you enjoy this, and it was easy for you as always. So practice it, make sure you are understanding how curve is acting together with thing that like polygon that attached to it. Okay, that's that's it for now. Have a nice day, and we'll see you soon at the next tutorial. Bye.